Hey, what's going on YouTube? Kenny here. So today we're going to do some really basic technical analysis and kind of give you some price predictions, what I think is going to happen on some of our favorite stocks, because I feel like we haven't done this in a while, and some of you all do like my bullshit palm reading skills. For that reason, we will go over it today. We won't be covering the overall market indicators and kind of talking about macro trends at all, because the macro newsletter is coming out in a couple of days, and so we are fully digesting a bunch of the new indicators and the new data that we've brought in. So with all that, I want to say that for the newsletter itself, and we'll send that out pretty soon. If you want to be a part of that newsletter, it's free. redcliffresearch.com newsletter, something like that. Just go to the website. Anyways, so here I am. We're going to look at AMD because, I definitely thought there was a chance of a gap and go yesterday, so definitely failed. Right back down, selling the news. But the good news is we caught at 85, which is actually exceptional. I still think there's a ton of upside left for sure. And I definitely think we hit 98 before the end of the year. If not, 118 is actually my price target for end of year. And are we still there? I think so. What do we need to think about or consider? Again, interest rates rising is the biggest thing that's going to really prohibit the growth stocks from growing, essentially, and that's due to the artificial raising of interest rates. If we do just get a run on consumer discretionary, then we should be fine, especially when you're talking about everything that AMD is involved in. I think in general, AMD is still sitting pretty. Guidance yesterday was absolutely ridiculous. If you missed the call, we did do a little bit of a call and a little bit of analysis yesterday, but just so you know, early on in the ramp cycle when it comes to, their console chips and the server space, everything's looking really good. And I did like her answers to all the questions, and, a lot of ARM questions in there. But again, based on Lisa's kind of overall, way she handles technology and innovation, and I guess, developing her actual AMD chip or whatever, essentially she was just saying that, hey, look, I don't care what I use. I'm kind of pretty much IP agnostic. I'll use ARM probably if I needed to, but I don't think we're quite there yet, and I don't think we need to use ARM. And so for all those reasons, I'm still very, 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 very bullish on AMD, and I still think sentiment is going to play a big role coming in here pretty soon. So again, the good news is, if you haven't noticed, there was a huge sell-off here, sell-off candle, lots of volume coming in to sell. Obviously, folks that were in, sorry, I circled that in wrong, but probably folks who bought up here have sold here now. But if you're looking at the selling and you're looking at the volume, look at how many red days we've had, and look at how much volume has come in. And we are still holding really strong, actually, at 85. So, that's really promising as well. So there's just that there. Now, when talking about the SPY, we're still looking for a correction in the SPY. Although, a lot of folks are calling for a face ripper rally. I think that already kind of happened, though. We did have a 5% move through the month, which is pretty amazing for the S&P. We might get a little bit more, but even if we do get a little bit more, I still think we got to come back down to earth and hit this 50. So for me, I'm not calling for a big, I'm not calling for like a big crash or anything, but correction would absolutely be warranted here. If it floats above the 50, interesting. But I have I definitely have a put on for the SPY that's about 3 months out. So, it's a decent sized position. I'm betting against the S&P right now for sure. It looks like it's struggling a little bit, but that doesn't really mean anything. Really, I think this is going to be driven by a lot of different factors that we'll address in the newsletter and kind of talk about it. Tesla, after earnings, everybody thought that was great, but obviously the whole controversial, hey man, you're not like a quarter of their top line was from basically Elon doing a day trade, so with Bitcoin. Anyways, that said, I'm bearish on the stock price for Tesla. I definitely love the company itself and wish it the best, and I'm not trying to take down anybody's stock price, but I do think we're going to get a pullback. I do have a very large short position right now, which is working out pretty well. I do think that we can still hit 550 here for sure, if not at the bare minimum 600. So I'm looking to hold until 600. I'll probably let off the brakes and then start buying at around 550 and just reopen my positions. But that's what I'm looking at for Tesla. I wouldn't be surprised if it hits 400, but I'm okay. I'm okay riding down to 600/550 and then loading the boats back up at 550 and then buying towards the dip. And so that's where I'm at with Tesla. XLE, we did call out XLE back here at the turn. And, if you're in the trade, we're doing very well. It's doing exactly what we think it's going to do. In terms of price targets, I mean, you could get out easily over here at this 54, looking for a double top here. But I do think, the price of crude oil right now itself is like plus 2% from 2019 and or 20 rather, and then 2019, sorry, and XLE is down like 30%, so it doesn't make sense. It's gonna match one of these days. A lot of people are thinking that just the cases in India is kind of stifling that. It's kind of like the risks that we need to look at. But if the cases roll over in India, then that should, which is really weird, but it should de-risk oil. So anyways, that's why we have XLE on, and shout out to Diego. We did have NOV and XEC as part of our energy plays. The reason why, so the reason I'm calling out Diego is because, he's got the NOV trade, and he got almost 10% today, at one point 10.8%, I think. But the problem, the reason why I took the XLE trade is even though you got, Diego, 10%, I got more than 10%. I got 90% today, and that's because I'm trading options, obviously, but highly leveraged, and then way out of the money. Well, 53. I had the 53, so I made 92% today on this move that was 3.45%. So it was a good move, and so take profits if you can, if you were in the trade and you did it right, and if you got 3.5%, still that's nothing to scoff at in a couple weeks. Just remember S&P 8% a year. Mara's doing its thing. We're gonna be fine. I don't even want to talk about it. Crypto rally is not over, not even close. For the end of the year, I'm still calling 100K at least for Bitcoin. So until I see 100K, I won't be cautious. I'm still buying dips for Mara, so we are in that trade. JMIA is really interesting right now. I think we're fine, but we do have to be mindful of this critical price at 33. For me, if we fail to break 33 in this next week, we might be in trouble. But trouble doesn't mean much for me because, we loaded the boat at 28. As long as we play around here, I'm fine for a while, giving it a couple months. And then if we can see really good earnings or even decent earnings, or at least them doing the things that we want through earnings, then I think we can definitely climb again. And then also too, if we can get a couple news catalysts in here, which there's nothing that I'm aware of in the near foreseeable future. Again, this is our 5 to 10 year trade, so it should be pretty boring. I'm not going to really look at it, but I do always want to check earnings, and I do always want to kind of make my quarterly updates and adjust my position sizes if I think they're not doing what I wanted them to do, or their trajectory changes based on the reasons I invested in them. But for now, they look just fine. All right, Coin. So Coin did pretty much exactly what we said. We said, don't buy on open. 4 days of sentiment decay. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4. And then we said, and everybody asked, hey, Kenny, this 4 days, do we buy in now? And we said, with the weakness, you should be looking at the second move. So let's watch to see what the second move is. If this is a green candle, we should definitely be interested. But it did the opposite. So, another 4 days, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from there we said, okay, this is the next move. And so we did call in the chat that, this would be an interesting entry point because we did see strength on this bounce. So if you did take that trade, even if you got halfway here, you're still up right now 4 or 5%. So not bad for a trade. But this is a long-term position for me. I have one tranche in right now at around 290. I think I got in one tranche, but I'll build this position slowly because I'm not 100% positive that this doesn't come whipsawing back down yet. So I'm just watching for now. But I'm generally optimistic anyways, so we'll probably start buying. But I really wanted 250 or less, so we'll see. But, again, this is just our strategy, buying tranches. But, we were patient enough. We at least escaped all this for cost basis, so not doing too bad there. Netflix is definitely a buy for us. It might be a little bit of a money park at this point. Disney Plus and HBO Max definitely, if you're talking about the qualitative story or the fundamental story here, the valuation story, they have real competitors. And that's an interesting thing that I do want to talk about. I was having a conversation with somebody, and if you think about what's going on with Netflix right now, it's they're getting tackled from both sides, between Hulu, Amazon Prime, they were the first people to do it. So I'm drawing parallels here because I want to draw a parallel to Tesla. And for all you Tesla bulls who are infatuated with the stock price and not so much the company, I like the company, but the stock price, just think of what is happening. Like next year, all these companies are coming after them, and everybody would say like Netflix is the only one. Like no. Like a couple of years ago, nobody would have said, hey, Disney Plus is going to give them a run for their money, or HBO Max is going to give them a run for money. But once you're this small upstart, you do that new thing that nobody knows about, people bring that money to bear, and then you better be ready to fight them off, and you're no longer a small player. It's you're fighting for real in a real fight. And once that happens, it just gets tough is all I'm saying. So I think they have a good moat, so I'm not too worried about it, but I'm just suggesting that the stock price might fall in the short term meaning the next year. BIDU, we're struggling in BIDU. We tried to buy this dip, and we're doing okay, but I didn't think it would go flat for this long. So URG, looks like it's moving on the up, 5.56% today, looking really strong. Looks like we built really good support here. And if you're asking what my price target for URG is, I'm actually an investor for real in this company. I really believe in the CEO. And if you didn't notice, we did do an interview with Jeff Klenda. And, if there's anybody in the uranium business that can make this turn in America, it's definitely his company. And so, for all those reasons, I'm actually a for realties investor. What's my price target? I'll probably start trimming at $3 or $4. So you're like, damn, Kenny, 3x? Yeah, I think so. It's a long-term play, but if uranium turns, this is an easy 3x, basically for a bunch of different reasons. But one, the stock price itself, the market cap itself, and a bunch of the other things that we cover inside the video. So if you haven't watched the video, watch the video. We did interview the CEO. So, anyways, BLD. We are okay here, even though we can definitely come down to earth and hit this 5% retracement to the 50, which is my favorite indicator, really, SMA. What do I think is going to happen here? It really depends. There's so many factors right now. The opening trade is inconsistent right now. It's what they call lumpy. So we're hedging on this one. I don't have a massive position or anything, but it's just good to have some exposure to things outside of tech, and that's why we had this. Let's talk about MGA. We called this out way early, way back in almost I don't know, what was it, $60, $70 land, and we said we're going to take profits at 92. Well, it's at 99 now, and we do recall that this was we were saying that this is the EV play I wish I would have seen earlier. But yeah, it is going for a ride, and it's pretty low risk still. We're going into earnings here in May. I'm going to wait and see what happens. I'm hoping for a little bit of a sell-off so I can get back in. We did sell some at 92. We have some left, but I want to get back in. But, you know, I don't have infinite money here. Intel, much of the same. If you're asking me, yes, I'm still bearish. We called the top a little bit early. We called the top at around 62. It topped at about 68, and now it is having a little bit of a plunge. Do I think it can get back to 43? Absolutely. Do I think it will? No, because too many fucking funds are hiding in dividend stocks. So I think it gets to this psychological support of 50 or something like that, around there. I would have to figure out what the mean reversion line is here. Actually, Nathan found a good indicator or setup for this. So if you're in the chat and you want to know what he's working with, message Nathan. I'm sure he'd be happy to help you. He does have an interesting setup for this that's working really well for the downside trade. So yeah, spam him. Just kidding. Sorry, Nathan. Tattooed Chef. Oh man, we got smoked on Tattooed Chef. I mean, we got cost basis wise, we're fine, because I mean we got the here, and then we sold some up here, but we never quite got to our price target. And I mean, we're still early in the year, but it's a monster move to get to the price target from here. Am I still bullish on it? Yeah, overall, I just think we're parking a lot of money here, so I definitely trimmed a bunch of positions here. So the charity account, if you didn't know, we bought we bought somewhere for the charity account. I think we bought like right here, and we went for a ride. And I think we exited around here for a small loss, and that's why you haven't seen the charity challenge for a while. But we're gonna reinstate that too, because people were asking about it. So we'll take a look at the charity challenge. Corsair, it's flat, but again, we called the intrinsic value, at least for us, based on the Redcliffe research score, at $36.85 essentially. And so, I mean, it's not trading too much lower under that. So what I would expect from a Corsair here, even going into earnings, but earnings have been weird lately, and the reaction after earnings, people are a little bit scared, I guess. So people are selling off on good news, but essentially, you know, I think this is what you should want to see, and then, you know, ladder step up and then keep going like that. You know, we still have an easy price target for about probably 50, probably no later than August or September. Honestly, I think we're pretty close to getting another run. Not for just tech, but I mean, this is Logitech, so I mean, technically, I guess you could call it a tech company, but really isn't. It's manufacturing. So, you know, the opening trade might mess that up, but we'll see. Earnings is coming up. The kind of bearish case here is like volume is definitely receding. So we have to go back and map sentiment and see what's up with that. But, you know, this is a long-term esports play for us, so I'm not really concerned. You should be rather bored by this. You really shouldn't be looking at this. So as long as this does this, this is perfectly fine. So yeah. I guess we'll go over one more, Palantir. You know, we're bearish here at Palantir, on Palantir, but I've actually seen a lot of news to kind of make me a little bit more bullish on just Palantir overall. You know, we could probably talk that in another episode, but in terms of price, I mean, it looks like it's found a nice little niche here at 23-ish, and it probably will trade there for a while. I would not be surprised though. We're hitting a top here and a top here and a top here and a top here. So every time it hits this, it just wants to bounce. And if this is generally doing this, I mean, the next logical piece of support is around 14. And at 14, even though I don't like the company really that much, I'd probably just buy it for a trade at 14, to be honest with you. But we got to see what happens and how fast it happens. Earnings is going to be really interesting here for Palantir, though. Again, volume going away. And then in terms of sentiment decay and sentiment scraping, the stuff we're seeing, it looks really vulnerable right now, is all I'll say. But I mean, yeah, who knows? I mean, and then look at well, I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to say too much about Palantir. You all know my theory on that. But if you're a Palantir bull, you know, tell me what I'm getting wrong about it. I'd love to discuss it. So Anyways, that's it for me for today. Again, if you want the free newsletter that's coming out in a couple of days, go ahead and go to the website, redcliffresearch.com, and sign up. Also, haven't put a call for the Innovation Lab in a while, but we have a couple openings probably. So if you're interested in the Innovation Lab, go ahead and go to the website and sign up. Basically, Innovation Lab is where a bunch of cool people try to figure out cool things. We're very data driven. But sometimes we just talk about stocks and figure out ways that we can basically extract alpha from the market. So just simple stuff and sometimes very complicated stuff. Like right now we're developing a sentiment engine that looks for anomalies, I guess, anomaly detection engine as well. And so we're putting that together and we're pretty excited about it. Obviously, if it doesn't work, it's no good. So we're back testing and refining it over and over again. But those are some of the things we look at. We talk about high conviction plays. A lot of the time we have subject matter experts in all fields. We have doctors, software engineers, aerospace engineers, rocket scientists, and the like. So if you're interested, go ahead and pop on over and let us know. But that's it for me, and we will probably see you tomorrow. I know I keep saying ASML video, but maybe tomorrow. It's been a rough week for the rest of my life. So, anyways, we will see you tomorrow. Bye.